The a7C versus the a6600. With having the same video recording specs, why does this camera cost $400 more than this one? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover the differences between these two cameras to help you determine whether spending the extra money on this camera is worth it for your videos. Hey everyone, Camber here, showing you how to use your camera to make good videos. And today we're looking at the a7C, which costs $1,800, versus the a6600, which bounces around between $1,200 and $1,400, depending on the sale going on at the time. So let's take a look at some of the features that you can get from both cameras, as well as the differences, so that you'll understand why the price of this one is higher than this one. So first off, with both of these cameras, you're going to get 4K at 24 frames per second with no cropping in on the sensor. And the reason I bring this up is because Canon, which is one of the most popular camera names that everyone wants to get, makes 4K with their cameras that are priced similarly to these. However, almost all of them have a crop of 1.7 on the sensor. So for example, if you were to shoot 50 millimeters on this at 4K, well then that lens is going to be like an 85 millimeter on the Canon cameras, which then is kind of limiting when you're using your 4K because you may not have as much space in a room. It's not great. Having no crop, really good thing with these cameras. And also, they both give you full HD up to 120 frames per second for really smooth slow motion. However, on the a6600, there is a slight crop in on the image, about 1.1, so it's not enough to really make a huge difference on your lens. And the next thing that both of these cameras give you is the option to use picture profiles for your videos. So if you're not familiar, a picture profile is basically a less processed version of your video so that you can add in things like saturation, increase the dynamic range for the best image possible in the camera. So even if you don't know how to do all that post-processing work at first, it's an option you have further down the road once you learn more about color correction and color grading. So it's great to have, as well as you're able to match these cameras together really well, or with any other Sony camera that has picture profiles like the a7S III, what I'm using now, or even on the Cinema line. So if you're using one of these as a B cam, that's also a great feature to have because you can match it with so many other cameras. And then of course we have touch autofocus and tracking with both these cameras. So the great thing about that is you take your camera, you touch one point of it, it focuses in on your subject, you can touch another point, it'll rack focus, and you also have touch tracking. So say for example, you have an object moving around, it's really hard to make sure you're focusing on it the whole time, and the autofocus may not know that's what you want to keep your focus on. You touch it, a little box will appear, and then as it moves closer or further away, the camera will track that and keep the focus on it. So another great option to have with these cameras. And finally, both of these cameras give you a 5-axis stabilized sensor. So when you're doing handheld shots, that just makes it even smoother, helping you to get the best image possible. But the sensor is also where we see the first main difference. So when it comes to the camera sensors, the a6600 has an APS-C size sensor, whereas the a7C has a full frame camera sensor. And so the difference there, the main difference is, say you're shooting a 50 millimeter lens on the a7C, it's going to be 50 millimeters, whereas if you put that same lens on the a6600, it's going to be cropped in 1.5 times, so it's like using a 75 millimeter lens. So you have to take that into account when you're buying lenses for your camera. However, the bigger difference is with a larger sensor, you have larger pixels so they can take in more light and give you a better image in low light conditions. So if you were to shoot both these cameras side by side with the same settings, you're going to get less noise in the picture of the full frame camera because it's able to get a clearer picture. But I wouldn't suggest getting a full frame camera over APS-C just for low light performance, because you want to be lighting your scenes well so that you get the best possible image you can out of both cameras, and they will look very similar with the right lighting. However, if you are doing some kind of live events like weddings where you can't control the lighting, then having a full frame sensor is good to have so that you can get better performance out of it. But finally, the other main difference between these is the a6600. It has a flip up screen for you that flips up this way. So that's good if you're vlogging. Hey guys, what's up? You can see yourself just fine. No issues there. However, once you put a microphone on it and you pull up the screen, well now, you can still see yourself. It's definitely usable, but that can be a bit of an annoyance. However, with these cameras, there are plenty of adapters you can get that are relatively cheap that will put your microphone off to the side and make it so that you can have full access to your screen. Whereas on the a7C, you have a fully articulating screen like this. So you have your screen out there, you have your microphone plugged on top. There's even the plug-in for the microphone on the side there, so it won't be in front of your screen. You can see yourself just fine and makes for a really nice setup if you are vlogging or even setting up like this for a YouTube video. No issues there. So personally, I would go for the a7C over the a6600 because I like to get the best quality with that full frame sensor and have the option of that low light and not have to upgrade my camera, which I have done plenty of times because I went with the cheaper option then realized, oh, I think I want the other one better later on. But if it came down to getting an a6600 with a better lens with the money I saved over getting an a7C with the cheaper lens, then I would definitely go with the cheaper camera and the better lens because the lens will have a much greater effect on your videos than the quality of the camera. And speaking of lenses, I have another video recommending what lens I like for every camera, no matter the brand. I'll have that linked in the description for you to check that out as well. But if you have any questions about either of these cameras, drop them down in the comments. I'll try to clarify anything I can and help you out there. But if this video is helpful for you, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Check out more videos because I have lots of videos and playlists on the channel teaching you how to use these cameras and all the features on them to the max extent to get the best quality images and more cinematic videos. So definitely it will be helpful for you. And I also have a private Facebook group that's linked below where I can better answer all your filmmaking questions. Lots of people there. And with that, I hope I'll see you soon.